Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Lighten Up Zen Life. I'm here with my co-host, Nancy. Nancy, say hi to everyone. Everyone say hi to Nancy.
Hello, everybody.
So I'd like to just begin with saying thank you for being here with us and gratitude to everyone all and throughout the multiverse. I'm very excited to share this subject with you today. And I'd also like to thank you, Nancy, for being so clear in your truth, making great choices, being simple about everything. And, when I think about making good choices, I always admire how you do the things that are of the greatest good, serve the greatest good for yourself and for others with everything that you do. So thank you for being so noteworthy to look up to.
You're welcome. That's quite an honor.
So,
we all do our best.
Yeah. Would you like to start, or would you like me to start today? Hi, Denise.
Well, why don't you start?
Sure thing. So,
At least start with a question.
Start with a question. Okay. So
I said at least. You can go on to whatever you want to say.
Okay. My feelings about starting off with this podcast were, we've done multiple podcasts on independent subjects: forgiveness, accountability, how to be your empowered self, connecting to the high realms. But the real advantage is when we allow ourselves to be mindful, to make that choice in the heat of the moment, to be mindful of our choices, our habits, the things that serve us versus not, when we're living day-to-day life. And how do we allow ourselves to do that, to bring these good habits to the front of our consciousness? And it seems like, in my awareness, my experience, that so many people will know what the good thing is, but then the question is, how do we feel motivated or in a place of alignment where we allow ourselves to do those things? What is the it factor that helps us stabilize the practice to become the person that we desire to, our real self, essentially. So, Nancy, my first question is, what are some things that you do to help you maintain being your real self?
Well, I would have to look at what you said as far as we know and then we don't do it.
Okay.
I would have to say that's probably more that we don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We suspect, or we've learned, or we put forth our knowledge in that direction. And academically perhaps, that you have learned to do, that it takes, this and this and this to make something work.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go in, you have to love yourself, and you got to do all this, all these different pieces, meditate and do all this stuff. But I'd have to question if we know, because I believe that if we really, really, really knew, we'd be doing it.
Right.
Now, what challenges that knowing, because you're talking about how do we take control over our life, right?
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
One of the things that happens is that there's all this negative stuff that happens. The life has had its challenges. And that in one way makes us want to reach out. We'll ask questions what can I do with this? Can you help me take care of this? God, Jesus, will you please heal this? Will you do this? Will you do that? And we have a tendency to reach out in need. Mm-hmm. When we have a need. And it's a lot harder to remember sometimes when everything is going well. And if you remember, I mentioned it
pray
before,
when it's good.
You remember what I told everybody. I said, pray the hardest.
Pray the hardest when things are good.
So you're not in need, and it's not coming from that need aspect. So I would, first of all, to start out with, I would question, and it maybe the person does know, and they just, they have medicine they're taking and it makes them tired, or there's reasons they've got kids and they got to feed the kids, and I got to do this, and I work, and it's understandable too that in our life we have busy, and sometimes that interferes with even knowing. I know I should do this. I know I can do this. I know I've got this tool. I know I have this exercise equipment, and I really, really, really want to lose weight. But I have found that when the motive with the intent and the motive is secure in what it is and why why I would want to do that in spite of all this, then knowing it and building the knowledge, building up the energy, building up the understanding, getting more and more strong, getting stronger and stronger in my will to put in action. That comes with practice, I think.
Right. So it gets stronger, and there's always a thing that you can ask, how would I do this? How can I get more motivated to do what I really, really know and want to do? So that word "know" is a little iffy there. How would I bring my belief systems into knowing where I realize, and here's the realization, part of the realization that has to be thought of, and that is that I have to understand that if I do the spirit work first, then my day gets easier. Much easier. Instead of the other way around, where I don't have time, and I don't have time to do this, and this is the last thing on my shopping list of what I want, and so on, and this is the last thing. I know I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. I'll do something later. I'll have time later. Later never comes. Very seldom do they come. That's right.
Like we think they do. So, what we don't understand is it's the same thing. It's the same kind of understanding that if I go inside and touch into my spirit self inside, I can have peace and harmony. I can have joy. That's where happiness comes from. That's where all the good things come from.
That's right.
Instead of thinking about the outside, if the outside would just behave, if people would just do what I wanted to do, if the outside would just unfold the way I think it should, isn't it obvious to everybody? It should be so obvious that, I don't even understand this. I can't even understand why people would do what they do. I don't understand. Probably we don't understand it. If we're saying that, we probably don't.
Yeah.
But what we need to understand, it's happening.
Right.
And if you don't want it to happen, and if you don't want more of it, you got to clean up the mind and the intent. You got to clean up the idea that it happens. All happiness happens from the outside. When I have all abundance came in, well, if you want to keep that abundance coming in forever, you want to get inside. If you want to keep love coming towards you, you got to keep love inside, because you're going to attract whatever it is that you're going to attract starts inside.
That's right. That's right.
So, if it really matters to me, if it's really, really important, people will go to work. People will drive miles to get something, to even get knowledge, or different things. People will go to a large extent when they really have a need for something, but they usually do everything but go inside first.
Yes. Yes.
And then that doesn't stand for I'm stuttering there. That doesn't mean that everyone does that. Doesn't mean that people don't get up. And then there are people that get up and said, well, I meditated. Okay, were you listening to the meditation, or were you speaking to the meditation? Well, probably more speaking. That's normal for the mind to want to be in charge. It's normal for the old way. But the truth of meditation, true meditation, is relax and have faith and trust. To build that, you listen. And the listen may be no sound, because that's where everything comes from. It comes from zero. like, it could be listening and hearing or feeling. It may be more feeling if you're kinetic, and it should be feeling, and it should be a combination of all the different sensory aspects. And you shouldn't be the one who's in charge of saying what the higher level should be telling you, or what they should be feeling. If you want to feel good, you go into your breath. If you want to relax, you go into your breath, because source is there. If you want to accomplish something and ask the question, then you have to be willing to listen what the answer is, or get the answer, or be able to recognize the answer. Then once you get the answer and you recognize the answer, then you have to be willing to take the action to it in your busy lives. So how do we do this? I think we got to understand the priority that works. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's not about, it's wrong to do all the other things first. It's not wrong to miss a day. It's not wrong, but is it working for you? Is that working? Are you happy? Are you feeling good? Are you at peace? Are you getting your life moving in the direction you want it? That's where the importance comes from. It's not good or bad, right or wrong, or any of that, true or untrue. What it is does it work or does it not work? If what you're doing works and you are happy and things are unfolding, and if that spirit is in charge of, you've let go of things and you allowed the spirit to take charge, and trust and had faith in it, that it did something for you never would have thought of. It did something for you beyond your wildest imagination. It did something for you because it's unlimited. It did something for you because you didn't even know it was going to do something for you. Then you know you're connected.
That's right. Denise just shared her story on here. She said, "Oh, guys, my car broke down and I was so upset. But then I stopped and said, 'Resurrection angels, please help.' And it's amazing that everything worked out because they don't make the part, but the mechanics found it anyway. Even he was amazed."
One of the things, it's so neat, Denise. What is so neat about those kinds of stories, again, they go beyond your wildest dream.
Right.
And, there's people that they go beyond what you would think, you wouldn't have come up with it yourself. You couldn't have gotten the part by yourself. The guy who you went to, the nice person that you went to get your car fixed, was going to fix it right away. If he hadn't gotten the part, it wouldn't have worked. It takes care of all of the different pieces that you really wouldn't think of. You think that automatically you go to a dealer and they'll fix your car and they have the parts and everything's going to unfold, and it's not going to cost an arm and leg, and I'm going to be able to drive my car out of here and so on. Well, that's not a given.
Right.
That's not a given.
Right.
And there's very few things going on now in the world that you can just say, this is a given. This is really a given. If it's third dimension, good luck. Because everything is changing. All things are changing. And how do I control my life? First of all, do you want me to go through this, or do you want to say something?
Oh, no, I am so here for this. I'm so excited that we did this topic today. We've been talking about things so much.
I have friends, and I admire anything that everybody does in a spirit way, and what they go through. But I have friends, and I don't know how anybody else feels about this. It may be just a Nancy type of thing. We were taught that somebody else is going to do it for us. Jesus going to do this in Jesus' name, and I would use Jesus' name anytime you want to. And I certainly think Jesus does a lot of teaching. Teaching is what Jesus does, and the higher levels may help. Your high self helps, and activates your luck and your good things and so on. I'm not saying who answers your call in the who is or who isn't, but all the teachers have come. And they have taught not all the teachers, but a lot of the teachers, the higher teachers, have come. And the first thing they talk about is it's inside of you. God is inside of you. God is inside of you. The reason that they teach that is they want you to know that you are part of God and you have powers too, and that you can also do this. You can also offer, and I say the word offer on purpose. All healing is an offering. Anytime you pray for someone, anytime you want good for someone, anytime you want the high, you're adding your vibration to their vibration as an offering that it would be for the highest good if you do it the right way, right?
Right.
So it still comes from the individual, whether they accept it or not. It still comes from the individual, whether they will have enough faith and trust to be able to receive it.
Correct.
That's why it's an offering. So every time we go inside, and when you recognize that you are not, that there's a false God and it's saying I am the only one, not that there isn't an only one, because we're all one. Not any of that. It has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with your view of it. It has to do with your intent and your understanding and your consciousness. So if you're conscious that you have the power to say no to disease, it'll work. If you have the power to say, I'm going to make more money, I really need to, no, not need to, almost got caught there.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
don't
say.
want to, no, yeah, we do this every once in a while. But I catch myself right away.
Yep.
But anyway, if I had an idea, then I want to have certain things happen. I have to understand that which is going to give it to me. One of the things that we need to have better understanding in my opinion, is the universe. Because we've been living in a false universe. We've been living in a universe that is an illusion. And we don't really, I don't think a lot of people really understand the true nature of the universe of God, the whole divine. And the divine universe follows universal law. That's why I said if it's separation, it's going to lead to fear, it's going to lead to doubt, it's going to lead to this and that, and all these things, which you don't want. So right. As soon as you're in fear, that should tell you you're not in alignment with the true universe. You're not in alignment with the true divine. Because separation is just the opposite of unity. In unity, it's always a win-win for everyone.
That's right.
So as soon as that happens, I'm not aware. How do we know if we're in alignment with the universe? Do you know?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, sort of.
Because we're in bliss, because we feel happy, because we feel like ourselves. We feel
you may feel happy, you may feel bliss, you may not. How do you know if you're in alignment?
A feeling of fullness inside.
The first thing is your intent.
Okay.
The first thing is the universe. This is what's interesting with it. I'm not saying I understand all of the universe yet, but I will eventually.
I love you so much.
I don't know, but I'm teasing a little bit, but in a way I'm not. But anyway, the universe, first thing it's going to pay attention is to your vibration. It's going to pay attention to your thoughts and your vibration, and it's going to pay attention to whether you have faith and trust or if you are in the process of still working at it. It's going to pay attention to, because it knows, the reason I say that is the universe knows you're a magnet, and you're a magnet to whatever it is that you want. And what you want needs to magnetize to the universe so the universe understands what you want. So it requires to have clarity that you understand what you want and you understand it clearly. If you go into a restaurant and you order, the person says they're going to take your order and you go, and they just sit there and they go, what are you going to order? Do you know what you're going to order? And you just, no, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get something that you can't even clarify. Correct. Your desire to. So that brings us in, am I worthy of this? Am I blocked? Do I have a lot of things, that are keeping me, my subconscious, I learned to say need, so I just messed it up a little bit there. But this is why it takes practice, because we have to, the clearer you are, but we were taught the opposite. You can't ask God for things. Or keep asking God, and you can't do things. You can't pull this off with your spirit. Your spirit is too weak to pull this off. Your high self is too weak. You know, you don't have anything inside you is as strong as anything that you would ever want. No, it's got to come from something else, or an
something
idol,
outside
or
of you.
someplace, you know. So,
Nancy, can I
there's
clarify?
a lot of misunderstanding in this whole stuff. Is my point.
I just want to clarify with you. So, how do you know that you're aligned with the universe? Your intention, your vibration,
well, if it's,
your clarity.
Number one, if you're separated, you know you're not.
Right.
If you're in anger, you know you're not. If you're separated, you're automatically in fear. If you're coming from a fear, I feel lost, I'm not sure I can get this, you know, and so on. And I am lacking, the truth is lacking faith and trust, right? I don't even know how to do this. I've never had it before. How do I know what $1 million feels? I've never had it. You know, I don't know. You know, so there's a lot of confusion that go along with not being in line. And there's also pressure, like I've got to push, got to really go through all this stuff, and I can't just focus on it. My mind, you know, is all confused, and it doesn't know what it wants, and I don't know it's your responsibility to know. It is if you're going to have a desire, it's your responsibility to recognize that you have a desire for your highest good, and it is yours, and you are worthy. And the consciousness that you have, the universe already has it involved, and it can come up with ways you'll never think about, that you wouldn't have known, or you can quantum jump. There is so much given in this age now that we're officially in the age of Aquarius, which I am ecstatic about personally.
Yes.
And the reason I'm ecstatic is the age of light, you know. And we were working our way, but now we're firmly in it. And if there was ever a chance, I mean, this energy that's sort of kicking everybody around, that's in this March energy, and you know, March is an interesting month anyway for people sometimes. But this energy is, you know, trying to get us to let go of all the things that don't, you know, the false things. Let go of the things that don't match being in alignment. Let go of the fear. Let go of the, you know, I can't haves. Let go that only someone else can. Yeah, other people can do it, but I never have it my way. You know, it never happens for me. Watch what you say. I am now ready to receive all the abundance that the universe is ready to give me, would be an example. That's a lot different than saying, would you please help me? I don't think I can have it. I never get things. I'm really in straits, and you know, there's a lot of terrible things that have happened, like houses burning down and all kinds of stuff. But if I know that I can have it and I deserve it, if I know that the universe already can make anything, think about, if you see pictures of the universe, does it look like it doesn't have any kind of abundance? No. Do we ever look at the universe and see all the stuff that's going on in the universe, and beyond our wildest dreams and so on, and anything to put this earth together, and all the different trees and the birds and the animals, and did this, it doesn't have any power? I mean, come on. So
I love you. Did you look out in the solar system today and think that it's lacking? Wrong. Wrong. You're being playful, but it's true.
But we were taught, but to make everybody to understand, I mean, it's understandable that we feel this way. We were taught from a false universe. It took the real universe, the organic universe, and made everything false, the opposite from the real. So when we went into darkness, when we went into the negative, the archons and the merge and all the beings that created negativity because they wanted control. It was a false universe. It was a false time. It was a illusion. It's an illusion, and it's not the real thing. So if you're having if you have a negative, if you're having problems, if you're negative and you're being told something in the future that's negative, it can't see the future. It doesn't have the ability to see the future. All it can do is get into your past and mess with you.
Yeah.
It can't feed itself. A lot of these things cannot feed itself. It cannot vibrate. It will not vibrate and exist if it doesn't eat you, your energy. your thought forms, the thought in your energy, your vibration. We are all vibration. Everything is vibration. The pen in my hand is a vibration. Everything is a vibration, and it has a certain vibration to it. So the universe gets confused. I shouldn't say it this way. The universe is not confused. The person's the one's confused. But let's say we think the universe got confused because it's not answering me. Well, there's a reason for that. Why is it not answering for you? Because it's there to give you everything you want. It's there to help you do anything you need to do.
Nancy, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that you have a painful experience, and I'm just thinking because I had a couple people I spoke to this week. This is a good question. Okay, you have a painful experience. You don't want to relive it. You're afraid of it coming back up. That right there is...
Say the word you just said. Say the sentence you just said.
Afraid of it coming back up. You're afraid of it coming.
Say it again.
That you're afraid of it coming?
Say it again.
That you're afraid of it happening.
Say it again. And how many times that goes through your head, or the couple goes through their minds, and especially if they're both thinking similar. It is programming. It's programming to the universe. I want more of it. The universe isn't there to say what you're programming is or is not right, or oh no, don't do that. It's not like what the dark said. The dark does that. The light doesn't do that. It's always about lessons. So my fear. As soon as you say the word fear, or I'm concerned, or you are believing in the false.
Okay.
You're automatically programming what you don't want.
Yeah.
And that's what takes so much practice, is to not come from the problem, but to come from the solution. And then a lot of times we don't even know how to get to the solution because we've never had it, or, it's been a long time and we don't understand. We were taught differently. We were taught we were taught things that weren't true.
Right.
It was a lie.
My contingent, my contingent question is, what we just did was great, because you can see how the fear programs in real time. So let's say that, like, I've had people say something to me like, I don't know how to put
I would say to you, I know what you're going to ask me. Should I just go ahead and answer it? Before I forget it.
Okay.
No, I forgot it. I'm gonna start writing them down, and that way I have my pen in my hand. No, what you do is you say that taught you what you don't want.
Okay.
Is there any reason? Then you have the people need to go in and see. Is there any reason that what I don't want is working for me? Is there any reason why I'm in? Maybe I don't really. Maybe I really don't want a relationship, or whatever it was. Maybe I don't want that to happen again. Is that really, really true? Because if it keeps happening, there's something inside that person that wants it, or thinks it has to be, or doesn't think it can change. Because the subconscious is a computer. It is the biggest, most incredible computer. And it is programmed with all the things we programmed it, or things that got programmed in it. And if I keep doing, if I want to change the subconscious from that programming, then I have to believe stronger in the change. If you go to let's say you go to your computer and you're going to make something up. Give me something to make up. What would you go to your computer and you're going to, the idea is to change something.
Okay. So the example I was going to give is, I don't know what love is because I've never experienced it before.
Okay, so we're going. Okay, but they said they hope that it never happened again. So
they don't want to be hurt in a relationship anymore. They don't want to.
Oh, they don't want to be hurt in a relationship anymore. Okay, so they know they don't want to be hurt in the relationship. So you go to the computer and you type in, "I don't want to be." You find the computer that already has been in the computer already. I don't want to be hurt from a past experience. It's already in your computer.
Right.
So you go in and you say, I don't want it to happen again. It's already in my computer, and then you put it in the computer again.
Right.
And you keep putting it in the computer. I'm afraid of relationships because I don't want to, I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be hurt. So you're assuming you're going to be hurt. What you should be assuming is you're not selecting, the right people,
it's the
or
assumption.
whatever the case might be. But you won't, because you've got it in the subconscious mind that if you have a relationship, it's not going to work, and you're going to have to suffer, and you don't like the feeling of suffering. Now, let's say you go to your computer and you know that what it is. You don't want to be in fear. You know that, okay, how can I find the right relationship, passionate and beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have an AI in there, they can probably give you lots of suggestions.
So is the high self or the real self the AI?
but anyway, whatever. But let's say, and you write in, you take, before you do anything, you take you do it on your phone, you do it in your computers, you take and you go message delete.
Okay.
Delete it. Delete, and then rewrite it to, I think things are going to be a lot. Thank you for the loving relationships that come into my life. And then you rewrite the computer.
Okay.
Delete the old, delete it.
So my question, my contingency question is, if the person has a memory of that feeling, how?
It's an attachment.
Okay.
What have I taught you about attachment? Put you on the spot.
Ooh, I like it. Attachments are in ego. They're not from the heart.
Attachments are in ego.
Mm-hmm.
And attachment, that is a false experience, that if you don't have it, you're going to suffer, which is what they're saying. I have to make a choice. I don't want relationships because I'm going to suffer. No, you just have to change the way you think. And if you're a magnet and you're going to magnetize love, you're going to magnetize people who are in the same radio station. They're loving.
Correct.
They want a relationship too, and they don't want to hurt nobody wants to hurt anybody. It might be a learning process, but nobody really wants to learn. But as long as you've got that fear, and as long as you keep programming your subconscious, it's going to keep showing you and pulling to you what you don't want.
Agreed. Can I share something I learned recently?
Sure.
It's coherence. No. Coherence. That when we set an intention and mix that intention with positive energy, positive loving energy, we enter into coherence. Same thing with the body. I think I actually mentioned this on a previous podcast. Mind, heart, bodies, plural. If we put them into a place of coherence, then we alter our experience. And when the way our body works, we create a thought, the body creates chemicals in the body that produce feelings to support the thought. Then those feelings expand or make that thought bigger, deeper, more impactful, like creating a groove. Then that trickles down to the body, creates feelings, more chemicals, and this relationship goes back and forth. If we do this consistently, it creates a habit. This forms neural pathways, places that our brain is more likely to think about, or ways our brain is more likely to think about certain things, so that when these new experiences show up in our lives, we may have old narrative programming that keeps us locked in the same way of being or attracting the same situations to ourselves. So I think that having this podcast and having it be on choices is understanding that if I want a better result, it starts with what I do for myself. It starts with loving me. It starts with an understanding that my thoughts are magnets, and my thoughts are the seed that's going to have that chemical relationship with my body, where my body is going to produce things. And so if I want to get clear and I want to change my life, take accountability for the thoughts you think as best you can one day to the next. And a way that I've gotten good at doing my best at this is Abraham Hicks has this thing that she says in the morning and at night that she offered, which is today I will look for reasons to feel great. Nothing is more important than me feeling great and thinking great thoughts and feeling great feelings that help me resonate with all the positive aspects that the universe has to offer. And then as I go throughout my day, because I planted that seed first thing in the morning, when something does come up, I go, I made a commitment today that I'm going to look for reasons to feel great. And if this isn't making me feel great, how can I alter my perception, step back, step to the side, step up? What can I do for me to make this good for me so I don't give my power away to the unwanted, but rather the wanted? Nancy, thoughts about that? Feelings about that?
Well, I think, again, I have the greatest respect for Abraham and Hicks. Yes, I mean, starting in the morning is a good time because that's when your mind has been more relaxed and more apt to take in different, energies. But, we have to understand too, this universe is the whole universe, that is the real universe, the higher universe. The only vibration it carries is love. And I said vibration. We think love is most people think love is a feeling.
Mm.
You feel love, but it's not a, what do I want to call it? Anger, it's an anger, all of them.
Emotion?
Emotion. It's not an emotion. It is, the feeling, love is the vibration. It's a vibration. And when I have love, when it's inside of us, and it's controlled by what we think and what we do, just like you said, and have a better understanding. But it's a vibration. And yes, there's a lot of thoughts that can pull in love. There's a lot of actions that people do that can stimulate the love. But the vibration, when I'm in vibration of love, I'm also in vibration. That's another answer to your previous question. You're also involved to the vibration in your universe.
Yes.
The universe is vibration of love. And once you make choices, like you sit there and go, I know this has been difficult. I know this person just said something to me I didn't like. I understand that they're on radio station 101 and I'm on station 105. And it's okay. It's not the end of the world or whatever, but how do I handle this, all these things in love? Because if you're going to be in this age of Aquarius and you're going to be in the higher universe, love is the only answer.
Yeah.
There are no other answers that work. So you can retaliate, you can do this, you can be angry, you can sulk, you can remove yourself, you can do many, many, many things of the third dimension and the illusion, but you will not find yourself and you will not be happy for very long.
Yes.
So the idea is how do I control my life is to understand universal law, I think is one. To choose, you got to choose. I make these choices. I believe in the universal law. That's my statement. I choose universal love. I choose God. I choose light. I choose loving. I choose peace and harmony and well-being. I choose to be wise. I choose to have clarity. I choose. And I mean it. It's not a matter of just say the words and affirmations. The more you actually mean what you're saying and understand what you're saying, understand why you're saying it, and understand all of the understanding of yourself, that it works. I like it because it works. I like it because it makes me feel good. I like it for a lot of really top-rated ideas, but it's not forcing itself on me. I'm choosing it.
Correct. And that's what this whole thing is about, is what is for us, what helps us in any narrative, in any situation. Like, to me, all the people that I've met, all the life experiences that I've lived or that I've walked with somebody else through, we all have things in common. Putting a roof over our head, having families, interacting with their families, our friends, our relationships, our money, how to live our life in a way that makes sense to us, in a way that makes us happy, in a way that we feel like ourselves. Like Abraham says a lot, you live by default or you live deliberately. And when you want a life that matches you, it's not necessarily because it's handed to you. It's a series of deliberate choices that you make, and this is in my experience. It's a series of deliberate choices that you consciously make and then choose to practice them regardless of the external stimulation. And then as you see, as you may remain dedicated to your inside relationship, to your inside practice, to your relationship with source, and being your best you see the external change in real time. And then you're like, oh my God, isn't this amazing? Like, by practicing it and maintaining consistency with it, you see the changes happen, and it gives you that much more awareness, the ability to have the knowing and to have the faith and the desire to really want to integrate it into practice. Like
yes, but DART does the same thing. It uses this, it knows the laws. And we practice it. If I believe in the disease, I've said this many times, if I believe this disease being stronger than the cure, I'm not going to heal as quickly or at all.
Right.
If I become, I'm so busy, life has me so troubled and so on and so forth. And this problem, so-and-so did this, or someone's doing that. Now, here's another one for the same thing I'm talking about. I think it also, a lot of people figure, a lot of times we're taught that our country or our earth or whatever, we are here you were here because of, to take care of the earth. The earth was created for the people, for the person, for the soul. This whole stage was created. It's like a backdrop in a play. Everything is created for the soul to learn, to thrive, and to be in a beautiful space, or learn through the hard way.
Right.
And it's backwards. People think, outside, we're all working for the outside. We're going to make a good country. Well, if the good country would be a good country if we all were loving, peaceful, and happy.
That's right.
So, I mean, it's an easy thing. We got caught up in the material world, and we keep getting taught by negative, more dense energies that the material world, and as all of the time that we keep our attention on the material world, we need food. We need money, or would like to have money. I'm saying need on purpose, okay? Mm-hmm. But we want, and then you have, in that desire of need, you have a want. The kind of food you eat, there's wants that you can choose instead of need, right?
Right.
But the need disappears automatically when you know it's already yours. It's already there.
That's right.
And then you have to understand yourself well enough. You got to be clear. You got to have clarity. You've got to have understanding of yourself. You got to be willing to look at yourself, no more, no less, in the whatever is going on, and have that kind of opportunity. Now, some people don't know how to do that. Meditation's one way. I use I taught and use hypnosis. I think hypnosis is a good tool for it. I think there's many, many times, but the one lesson that is always you'll be aware of once you pay attention, and that is, I don't like that. I don't want that. When you don't want something, that is a huge lesson, saying, no, I don't want this. So, okay, what do I want?
What can I do about it?
What am I doing? What can I do the opposite of that? What's the opposite of that? Okay, I don't know how to get it. I've never had it. I don't understand how to get it. So, okay, go to the high fourth dimension, to the angels and the high beings, and Abraham and the Hicks and all the wonderful beings that are teaching and so on, and ask, or go through and find out what the answer is. And then, okay, maybe this feels good to me. I can do this. I can start doing this. And be nice to yourself. If you don't do it, if any time you go to a problem and you make a mistake, what we would call a mistake, it's only showing you what you don't want.
That's right.
Only showing. It's not to be beaten up or afraid or whacked because of it, because right beside that problem is an answer.
It's a solution.
And your solution is your solution is to find an answer. If you don't want that, then find the answer.
Right.
And then once you find the answer, then decide what you're going to do with it. How strong is that answer? How strong do you have faith and trust in that answer? How strong do you have faith and trust in the universe actually bringing it to you? How strong? And if it's not as strong as it needs to be in order to magnetize it, keep practicing it, keep trying to, keep working that you're going to achieve this. I know I'm achieving it. I know the universe is going to give it to me. I know it. I know it. I know. And you keep doing affirmations until you actually.
There's a question here, Nancy. So the question is, if I don't trust, if I want to trust that there is a God or source, but I don't know, I don't have experience, like I'm lacking in trust. So how can I develop trust that there is something there?
There, because this world doesn't, because we've learned to look to the outside for the answers, and that the world, God is outside. So we've been watching a false God.
Right.
So the people that don't believe in a higher power, of whatever way they want to feel it, it's because they haven't had experiences. The experience has not really put that into perspective.
Right.
So their experience is different. It's not, maybe it's not even bad or good. It just hasn't been anything.
Right.
So I believe in asking. I think that's fair. If you haven't had the experience, how would you know? If you haven't, figured it out, how would you know? But I believe in asking. So I would ask, show me. I would like to know if there's a true source that's inside me. I would like to know.
Okay.
And ask for an experience. Start asking for experiences that show you that. There's probably been experiences that have shown you and you haven't recognized them because you were taught something differently.
That makes total sense to me. Would you direct that question to high self, real self, source, Christ consciousness, all of the above?
Sure. But people go through life and they haven't had, they have blocked, it probably is coming partly from a past life where it got blocked somewhere.
Okay.
There was a lot of bad stuff happen in the name of God. A lot of bad things happen in the name of God, in the name of a lot of bad stuff, all the kind of lies and stuff. So if you've had that person probably selected, and maybe that's what they came in, the purpose they came in for is even to teach it. So you have to know what isn't in order to know what is here in this Pisces age. So maybe they went through all kinds of or maybe they didn't have any experience at all, but it's there and right in front of their eyes. I call it like the children's coloring books. You know how they have the hidden pictures in the coloring book?
Yes.
How you got to find the hidden picture and so on. I think that's the way it is for some people. And if you're looking to the outside to show you what the real God is and real people that believe in the real God, good luck.
Right.
Because right now, there's very little of it going on.
Absolutely. To me, because I could say with you, because we both know we come from the same.
And there's a lot of it going on, but it's not seen. It's behind the scenes. It's inside. And there are a lot of people inside becoming more and more loving. What this Aquarian age is going to bring, the age of light, is people waking up.
Right.
And that's what the person can ask. They can ask, can I wake up to the true, absolutely true consciousness, something I know and can trust?
Yes. That's what I was just going to say to you. I can say to you, to me, the ideal way to navigate every day is through the fortified relationship with our high self, real self. Like, it's amazing to me how powerful the relationship is when you, like, I was praying the other day and I asked for my body to be cleared from my high self, my real self. And within, I want to say a minute, 2 minutes, I felt a total energy shift and I was cleared and my energy was empowered simply by asking for the highest good to happen and my energy to be cleared. And that's how simple it can be to integrate the higher realms into our life. And one podcast that we had, you said, very simple, but it stuck with me so profoundly. Light beings bring in the light. And that, when I make choices, when I'm faced with a choice, when everything's positive and easy and happy, there's no real call it work to do. But when things are not going the way that we would maybe like them to, that's the ideal time to bring source into the equation and say, okay, help me handle this, show me what I need to see, bring everybody into the fifth dimension, instead of seeing it A versus B, we can look at the same situation and say, you know what, I just ask for everyone's highest good in this equation, because when everybody enters into the vibration of love,
I don't think we have the right, Trace. I'm going to stop you right there from my angle of it.
Okay. What's your angle?
The angle is we don't have the right to think that everybody has to be in a certain place at a certain time and so on. That's a choice. And this whole journey was the choice to make a choice, not only because this is all we knew, it was to make a choice because we knew why we made that choice.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that?
Don't try to control it.
Okay. So we can only ask for ourselves, but we can't ask for others.
No, I didn't say that. You can offer, there's a difference between offering and saying, I want everybody in the higher level. Well, it would be, if it's meant to be, which it could be,
right,
then it'll happen. But, again, people have their own journey.
Right. Well, you're asking, you're not demanding, you're asking, can you bring this to the highest level possible?
Well, when you are totally enlightened and totally in, the higher level, then the next step, when you don't have duality, you're not having bad days or whatever comes in that is challenging, you handle it beautifully and so on, which is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But look how long you've been doing it.
Right. Right.
So, and practicing it, right?
Yeah, this July.
Well, I think it's going to be a lot shorter for many people. So I think there's, how long would it take for, everyone to be enlightened, and understanding? Snap of the finger, but that's not what the journey was. The journey was about people choosing and doing it through consciousness and understanding. That's at least my understanding of it. So it's not, when you no longer have duality and you just are happy and you're blissed and you're all happy and going forth and so on, it's contagious. Your energy, your aura goes way out, and it has all kinds of wonderful experiences in that aura that people can tap into. Right. So the next stage after being in bliss, peace, harmony, and not in duality of negative and positive, when we don't have to do that, then it's very much a sharing experience. It's not pushing it on someone. It's a matter that it just happens.
So okay, let me clarify. The other day when we were having a conversation, we were talking about if we were going to do like a Reiki treatment. First thing is you would clear yourself, to ask, for your high self to protect you and heal yourself before you do anything with anyone else. And if you come into a situation between you and other, you want to ask to be your real self and recognize your real self so you can act as your real self. And then if someone else, say, is feeling ornery or confrontational or not, that whatever place, of course it's their choice. But if you'd like to try to merge your high self, like not merge, interact their real self and your real self, you're asking the higher realms for that to happen. Say you and a loved one are in a fight, you're asking for your high self to come to the equation and theirs too, so that you can have peace as the outcome.
The reason that I suggest to people when they are going to do healing or Reiki or something, even do prayers maybe, mm-hmm. that have controversy involved, okay? Mm-hmm. So the reason I suggest that we heal ourselves first, or we ask for the healing for ourselves, because if someone had the flu and had a really bad, let's say the virus, the pandemic virus.
Okay.
If someone had a really, really bad experience and they're trying to heal someone else, you'd want to make sure that part that you had personally, and you don't know your past lives. If you were crippled before, you don't know. I mean, most people don't know. A lot of people don't know. So you want to make sure that none of your side is coming into the healing.
That's right.
So if you're healed, then you have the right to heal someone else.
Yes.
Or to work. And it's vibration. It's about sharing vibration. It's about balance. So you're going to be more likely to have success for that, help that person, because what I don't want to skip a step that's going to show the person that healing didn't work when it could have.
Yes, yes. So what about like in a relational component, you and a parent, you and a child, you and a partner, if there's a little bit of if there's disharmony in that relationship, like Denise is giving a good example here, saying that some of her relatives don't believe in God, and she says, I tell them all the time, we don't call on him when you're in trouble. Everyone gets there one day or another. So let's, in the example, it's what if you're in conflict with someone you love? How can you put that into the best possible outcome, the best possible place?
First of all, people say they don't believe in God. A lot of times that doesn't mean they don't believe in a higher something. They just don't know what it is, which most people don't know what it is because it's been so much lies done. So a lot of times it's more about a person that doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in the God that was taught in the outside.
Yes.
So if they're breathing, remember all breath. I don't know. See, it would be interesting, Denise. It would be interesting to know. I mean, I don't need to know, but it would be interesting if I were going to take a personal look at it with someone. I would say, well, how do they act? I mean, are they mean? Are they narcissistic? Are they evil? I mean, are they acting, not evil, but are they acting, into a negative way? Are they being really negative? If they're a nice person, they got God.
Right.
If they're a nice person, if they're doing, treating people well, do unto others as you want to be done to you, they just don't call it the same thing. They just don't have, it's just a different interpretation of the same thing.
That's a wise thing. But so there's another question here that's about partnerships, about like if my partner and I are in conflict, how can we bring that into the highest place?
Be loving.
Okay.
Instead of trying to control each other, or I don't know who's doing what, but instead of trying to control and they have expectations, they've got to act a certain way, they got to do things in the same way. If it's someone that is matching you're both on the same radio station, so to speak, then, you got things to work out, but they're not, they're going to be easier to work out. If you have so much going on where people are being disrespectful and one person's being bossy and one person's being narcissistic and the other person's doing too much and overloading, and if they're saying mean things, it depends on what the behavior is, because the behavior can sort of describe if you're in alignment or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's so much on TV, on YouTube. There is so much on TV that teaches about male-female relationships and how this means that and that means this, and they're very good. I think they're excellent. John Gray is one of them, but there's so many other ones too. Even Joe Dispenza's getting into it.
Yeah, you know how I love my Joe Dispenza.
I know, I do too.
So how, maybe like an example, if you are, I mean, regardless of who the person is or what your experience with them is, how can you do something to bring the situation into the highest good? What's something that you're not being controlling, but you are making it light?
You start being the person you want them to be. Okay. And that is probably the easiest or the most comfortable way. If you want to be respected, if you are respectful, then if you want to be respected, then you be respectful. That not everybody, we're not all clones, so we don't always do the same thing, eat the same foods, become the same person, so forth. The bottom line, a lot of times, women have turned into their masculine side and not the feminine side, and vice versa. It's turned around. It's gotten all messed up. So men and women think differently, and that can cause a lot of problems because they're not being who they really are. They're trying to become something, they're trying to do something, they're chasing, perhaps, maybe they're not chasing, maybe the person's just using the other person. I mean, it's a very complicated, long It would take a whole program to go through that
Mhm.
by itself, because it's one, we have the most important lessons in those kind of relationships,
Absolutely.
in relationships,
Yeah.
because our feelings are involved, our passions are involved a lot of times.
Right.
But if you want to make it stronger, I think communication is the name of the game, a big name of the game. If you can speak to each other without accusing and without, if you can get to know one another. A lot of women want, I can't speak for every woman, but a lot of women want to be understood.
Right.
And want the person to get them.
Right.
Men want to be appreciated. Men are the givers, women are the receivers. So if the female becomes the biggest giver and the male has to, feel obligated that they're keep being given to, it doesn't work. There's so many interplays that go on. I mean, again, it would take a whole.
The contingent question is, what if I'm doing everything to be loving and light and my partner isn't matching me?
Then he's the wrong partner.
Okay.
Or he hasn't learned how to do it. It could be maybe he or she. It could be that he just doesn't know how. Maybe he doesn't know how to love.
Right.
Maybe in doing everything that is loving. If she's doing more, I assume it's she. If she's doing more than he's doing, that means he's not invested.
It's the opposite.
Or it can also mean that he doesn't know how to do it.
Okay,
he didn't have a good mentor to show him how to do it.
And if it's the opposite, if it's the guy doing the work and the woman not doing the work, then what?
Well, guys give and women receive. So, the guy will have, if he's not appreciated, then if he's being used, then it won't work.
Okay. That's the answer.
Well, usually if the person, again, I'm just giving the person a break a little bit about if he doesn't know how to do it. I think if I had more information, it would be a lot easier to answer that question. But, if she's doing all of it, one way to do this is stop doing so much. Don't do more than he does. Just stay. It's not like tick for tack, and the walls are going to come crumbling down. But if the general, she can look this up. I mean, I'm not the only one saying this. If the woman does more than the male does, they're supposed to be getting the receiving. Men are their best when they are giving to the female, and when they have feelings, strong feelings, and so on, they want to. So if she's doing more, either she's trying to win him over, or she's trying to do more than he does because she thinks he'll love her more, or he'll be more responsive, and it'll have just the opposite effect on it.
It's a flipped situation. So if it's the guy who's trying to be loving and stable and his partner is not, then how can he
it's the same thing. Not everybody's a match,
Right.
You can have different attractions, and it could be from past lives too. The attraction comes from a past life, and it's not. It was things, irritability, things. The storyline came with them. The timeline came up to date with them.
Okay.
So it can be that too. Again, it's easier to answer that question if I know more of the details, because I can usually figure it out. But
understood.
I'm just going to maybe,
Right, I understand. Okay.
It's a good question, though. It's a question she should be asking.
He's asking.
Okay, it's a good question. Oh, about if the man does more than the female?
Yes.
He might be, if she's strong on her mat, I'd like to know more about her. If he's doing more and he's not getting the appreciation, I keep saying the appreciation and the respect. If he's not getting that from her, then I would do more.
Okay.
Because it's going to the wall, not to someone who's got her heart open.
And can we use that? So my question, I think, underneath, well, my question underneath all these other questions is we don't want to be controlling of our relationship dynamics with other people. We can come to a place of understanding where we can only control us and our relationship to a higher power, not somebody else's, and they have their journey and we have ours. But for any person that we're with, if it's a child, if it's a parent, a sibling, a relationship partner, what work can we do to harmonize that relationship? If we in our own place of mind and heart, we're doing the best of our ability to be the best loving people that we possibly can,
then it should be working, and you shouldn't have to chase after it.
Okay, so does that translate to, if it's not working, to put space between you and that person? How do you handle a hard relationship?
It might be. Again, it depends on what you're talking about not working.
Okay.
If you are, people are doing all this stuff and they do too much, and so on, a lot of times, and the person doesn't respect, if they don't appreciate and respect it, then it's too much.
Okay.
So if it's somebody who is having expectations that this person should do this and this and this and this, and I only want, I don't want anybody, I'm afraid, and they have to live up to my expectation of who I want, what I want them to be, that doesn't usually work.
Right.
So, and what usually doesn't work is if there's a difference between the way men think and women think, and the better you understand what those differences are, the easier it is to get along.
Yes, absolutely, 110%.
And men don't like to. This is a male. Men basically, I certainly understand what I'm going to say. Being absolutely, I don't blame, and that is men don't like to be criticized, and they don't want to be mothered. A lot of men do want to be mothered, but it's not a romantic relationship.
Right.
And so again, it gets complicated. A lot of times women don't realize that the way they're saying it sounds like criticism, because men are very sensitive to that. Because they want to please. Their whole thing is giving, right?
Right.
And so the women, if women aren't happy with what, there's a way to learn to communicate where you're not criticizing, you're talking, you're sharing information, but it doesn't come out like criticizing.
That makes sense.
Treat others as you would want to be treated. If you don't like, if you don't want to be, don't criticize, don't have a mode of criticizing, and you're not doing this, and you should be doing that, and if it's the case, then changing that and altering it would help the relationship, I would think. And there's so much on YouTube about this, how to say things and what to say, and when are you taking advantage, when you're not being taken advantage, when you have expectations and you don't. There is so much on YouTube about it, and very good advice, actually.
Good. Well, I think treat others as you would like to be treated is a good place to land for today for this podcast episode. What do you think?
I do. Treat others, it's a golden rule.
I agree. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for hanging out with us today. Thank you, Nancy, for sharing all your wisdom with us today. And we'll see you, everyone, next Thursday.
Have a good week.
Bye.
And lots of love. Lots of peace and harmony.
Bye, everyone. Bye.